top stories tonight. EFCC arrests former Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika over failed national carrier. Former Imo State Governor Emeka Ihedioha quits PDP. Bello's arraignment stalls following unavailability in courts. South Africa's President Ramaphosa leads ANC campaigns in KwaZulu-Natal ahead of elections. It's good to have you join us tonight. I am Felicity Ezewike. Our coverage begins in West Africa with graft allegations. We understand that Nigeria's former Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, has been detained by the Anti-Graft Commission in connection with a money laundering investigation for 8 billion naira. At approximately 1 p.m. local time on Tuesday, the former Minister of Aviation, who was indicted, made his appearance at the Federal Capital Territory Command of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. According to reports, Sirika met with EFCC investigators to respond to inquiries on purportedly fraudulent contracts that he granted to a business called Engineers Nigeria Limited, which is owned by his younger sibling, Abubakar Sirika. Sirika had earlier discredited claims that the government spent $600,000 on the design of the logo after the carrier was unveiled at the Farnborough Air Show in London in July. To discuss this, we're joined by Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, CACO, Debo Adeniro. Debo, it's good to have you join us on the news. What specific allegations...
Thank you, my sister.
It's a pleasure to have you. What are the specifics of the allegation of fraudulent contracts being investigated by the EFCC against the former minister?
Well, thank you very much. I'm not speaking for the EFCC. I'm just an ordinary Nigerian watching things the way you people reported it. But then one thing we learned is that there is conflict of interest in the way Hadi Sirika awarded contracts for various jobs that were not done for the ministry. Part of it is building of, what do you call this, some structures in some of the airports, then purchasing of some aviation equipment, including simulation aircraft and all of that for Zaria. Then the purchase, the aborted purchase, I don't know, or the fake purchase of aircraft that he painted as the Nigeria Air sometimes ago, and the conflict of interest by awarding most of the contracts, in fact, almost all, to his younger sibling, Abubakar Sirika, and concealment of information on all of these contracts that are being awarded, and money laundering, you know, up to tune of about 8-point-something billion naira. Those are the snippets that I can remember offhand.
All right, let's contrast his honoring of the EFCC's invitation as against that of the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. Some would say that the confidence with which he appears before the EFCC might indicate that he has, for want of a better word, receipts to prove his actions were not fraudulent. What do you say to that?
Well, we cannot say what he has, what he doesn't have now, but then the confidence is could have been based on the fact that he has nowhere to hide. And because he knows that the allegation had been there, some of the allegations had been there since a very long time, and some of them happened while he was under the, I mean, of course, almost all of the allegations happened under the previous administration and not under the present administration. So basically, he knows that he had been tracked down already, and the revelation that gave facts and figures about all of these criminal suspicion have been found out. And that might be the reason why he knows that the best thing for him is to honor the invitation. And you know that the EFCC has actually invited him a couple of times. Now, he decided to honor the invitation, not knowing how far the EFCC, how much evidence that the EFCC has. And also because there hadn't been any injunction against the EFCC from arresting him. So basically, he knows that if he didn't honor EFCC's invitation, and there's no court that has restrained the EFCC from arresting him, then he will be tracked down and be taken to custody by the EFCC. That is different from the case of Yahaya Bello. There's no record, there's no evidence that EFCC had earlier invited him, that he should submit himself for investigation. And earlier, Yahaya Bello had preempted the court that, of course, he knows that he had a number of hostile competitors, rivals in his state and elsewhere. Smart Adeyemi, Dino Melaye, and the rest of them were always on his neck. So he knew that they have presented a couple of petitions against him, and that the EFCC might not follow the due process in getting him to court. That's why he went to Kogi State High Court, where he obtained an injunction against arrest and harassment. But the judgment didn't prevent the EFCC from arraigning him in the court of law. That is, they don't have to arrest him before they arraign him in the court. So there are two different things. Okay. So because
the connection was made because of both cases are recent incidents. Let's move on and see what we can get for this this appearance by the former minister. What are the likely implications for the fight against corruption with this investigation that's being conducted by the EFCC, considering the hula baloo that went with the unveiling of the Nigeria Air at the time that he was a minister?
Well, it's going to actually encourage the fight against corruption at that level, because a lot of us saw the lies that underlie the unveiling of the so-called Nigerian Air, which was a hired plane from Ethiopia that was only painted to Nigerian colors and could not even stand the test of time. So the way it has been brought to the public discourse or the public domain, it shows that Nigerians know exactly what they want, and they know how to defend their rights to good governance and whatever they believe that has gone wrong with the question of Nigerian Air. Definitely Nigeria needs a national carrier, but it's not a lie that Hadi Sirika attempted to sell to us. Then the fact that he had been cornered and he voluntarily submitted himself to the EFCC after the invitation. He actually honored the invitation. That is also a step in the right direction. And that is what we believe that Yahaya Bello ought to have done too if he was properly invited. But up to now, I don't think he has been invited. So this is the way we want the public officials, this is the way we want them to behave, because every public official owes Nigerians, accountability.
But therefore, it does go beyond
accounts of their civil.
Therefore, it does go beyond appearing before the EFCC. We are hoping that the EFCC will follow through and get to the end of the investigation. Thank you very much for speaking.
We should only hope for that. Yeah, we should only hope for that. They should have enough evidence. They should have investigated to the last, strand of evidence. They should have witnesses, and they should have good prosecutors who will not shy away from doing the right thing when they get to court, who will not be swayed by the local of gotten ahead that may be dangled in their
All right, Debo, thank you very much.
So they should do the right thing at the right time. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure being with you. It's my pleasure.
It. All right, staying with the aviation sector, the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau says it has begun an investigation into why a Dana Airline aircraft skidded off the runway shortly after landing at the Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos on Tuesday. Director of Public Affairs, NSIB, Mrs. Wumi Oladeji, said the agency will be relying on the report of its investigators who were on site after the incident to give the next update. The Dana aircraft, with registration number 5NBKI, which was flying from Abuja, skidded off the Lagos Airport runway, but all 83 passengers and crew on board disembarked unhurt. The incident happened around 10:15 a.m. with emergency responders, including the airport's aerodrome rescue and firefighting services, mobilized to the scene to salvage the situation. Away from that, but still on corruption matters, the absence of the immediate past governor of the Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, at the Federal High Court in Abuja, has stalled his arraignment for the second time as counsels to the former governor say his rights to fair hearing has been infringed on. Bello, who is facing a 19-count charge on money laundering to the tune of over 8 billion naira, was represented by his counsel, Abdul Wahab Mohammed, who told the court that his client had not been served the notice of his charge before a warrant of arrest was obtained against him, thus urging the court to set aside the warrant. Idong Joseph reports.
It was supposed to be the arraignment of the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, over allegations of money laundering and misappropriation of public funds amounting to 80.2 billion naira. However, the former governor was absent as his counsel complained that the warrant of arrest obtained against his client was responsible for his absence, alleging that he might not have a fair hearing. Yahaya Bello's counsel told the court that his client was not served a notice of the charge against him before obtaining a warrant for his arrest. He asked the court to set aside the warrant for arrest on his client to enable him appear in court in person. This the counsel to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission opposed, praying the court to dismiss the request. After almost 4 hours of argument between the counsel of the embattled former governor of Kogi State and counsel to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, seeking the court to set aside the warrant of arrest against him, the court proceedings have ended without the former governor being arraigned. However, the court has adjourned till May the 10th to give a ruling on the case filed by Bello's counsel and says that if Bello is being produced within the period, then his arraignment will also take place on the same day. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Energy stakeholders have called for a multi-tier electricity market, saying this will spur the growth of the nation's power sector. This was during a 2-day National Assembly Power Stakeholders Interactive Dialogue in Abuja, where they expressed worry over the lack of growth of Nigeria's power sector, saying this is stifling the growth of the nation's economy. My colleague Amadine Uyi tells us more.
Despite privatization of Nigeria's power sector, many admit this has not made any visible progress, with stakeholders saying it continues to grapple with one crisis or the other.
The Nigerian power sector has grappled with challenges that have stifled its growth and hampered its efficiency. These challenges include inadequate generation capacity, dilapidated infrastructure, as was rightly mentioned by the Right Honorable Chairman, Minister, frequent disruptions in power supply, and financial inefficiencies.
In Nigeria, there is widespread recognition that we are underperforming across all four pillars of providing electricity supply that is reliable, affordable, environmentally sustainable, and available to all Nigerians. Indeed, by some estimates, less than 20% of Nigerians have access to reliable energy of more than 12 hours per day. 45% of Nigerians have no access to any form of electricity.
We have over 100 uncompleted transmission company projects since 2001. A lot of them are 90%, 80% completion stages. But we need funds to ensure that we complete this project before we even move on to new ones. I have power plants in River State that are idle today, not because of machine unavailability, it's because of gas. I've not had gas in a power plant for 3 months.
As Nigeria's House of Representatives holds an interactive stakeholders dialogue to chart a way forward for the sector, many say Nigeria must move towards a multi-tier electricity market.
The super grid project, we are working on it, and we are trying to acquire spinning reserves that will eliminate incessant grid collapse.
From the time of President Obasanjo, a lot of money was poured into the system. Where are we? And so they now said, oh, well, maybe it's not that. The problem is the law. And I think where we are today is that having amended that law, having given the states the power, having given anybody who can invest to really come in, and then we now have a multi-tier electricity market.
It has become necessary for stakeholders to address the envisaged challenges, which is thrown by challenges facing Nigeria, and to chart a course for seamless transition to a multi-tier electricity market in Nigeria.
They say government must show more commitment to tackling the teething challenges affecting the sector and open its arms to partnership in order to solve the power sector challenges. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Coming up, Borno State Government announced its plan to resettle 3 communities. We'll bring you details after the break. If you've just joined us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. EFCC arrests former Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, over failed national carrier. Former Imo State Governor Emeka Ihedioha quits PDP. Bello's arraignment stalls following unavailability in court. South Africa's President Ramaphosa leads ANC campaigns in KwaZulu-Natal ahead of elections. Thank you for staying with us. Let's now tell you that a former governor of Nigeria's Imo State, Emeka Ihedioha, has resigned his membership of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. In his resignation letter addressed to the PDP chairman in Mbutu Ward, Abombise local government area of the state, Ihedioha cited a misalignment between his personal beliefs and the current trajectory of the main opposition party. The former governor expressed his dedication to the advancement of democracy and good governance in the country, despite his decision to step away from the PDP. Ihedioha lamented recent developments within the party, stating that it has deviated from its core principles. He voiced concerns over the party's inability to enact internal reforms, upholds its own regulation, and effectively oppose the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC. We're now joined by public affairs analyst Ken Okolugbo. Thank you very much, Ken, for giving us your time. Let's begin with your assessment of this decision by the former governor, citing misalignment with his personal beliefs.
The fact is that the internal democracy in PDP for long has been one that people have complained a whole lot about. I think the former governor, it was obvious once he didn't get the ticket that he was going to certainly be on his way out of the party. Because if you remember the elections that held in Imo State, he didn't participate, so to say, after he withdrew from the race. But looking at it holistically, I think the PDP must have to do a soul searching, because the party is losing it has fast lost its glory from where it was in 2007 when it was at its peak. Example, in 2007, you had 31 PDP governors, you had 260 members of House of Representatives, and you had 86 senators. But today you have 13 PDP governors, you have 118 members of the House of Reps, and you have 36 members of the Senate. And so I think the PDP must face realities and stop living in self-denial that they need to do a proper reconciliation if they have to be an opposition party that has to be reckoned with.
How might his decision impact the party's internal dynamics and its position as the main opposition party, not just in the state, but in Nigeria?
Emeka Ihedioha was quite strong in Imo. You can't take that away from him. And the fact that the APC is the ruling party in Imo as it stands now, there's really no opposition. And if Emeka Ihedioha, even though he did not actually state what party he was going to, or if he was going to join any political party, if he joins the APC, the APC becomes a lot stronger with having three former governors, Emeka Ihedioha, Charles Okorocha, and the incumbent governor, who is the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum. Opposition becomes almost absent in Imo State. And don't also forget that he was the former deputy speaker of the House of Reps. So you can't wish away his also political leanings outside of Imo State.
In what ways does his criticism of the party's failure to enact what he describes as internal reforms and effectively oppose the APC reflect broader challenges within Nigeria's political landscape?
It was very obvious during the 2023 elections. For example, a lot of us that used to be members of the PDP, one of the reasons I left was the fact that the internal democracy in Delta was quite absent as the last primaries of the party. The former governor who was supposed, or who was the leader of the party, already had predetermined candidates leading to the primary elections, and there were a lot of rancor, and he wasn't interested in going into reconciliation. But then again, apart from the internal democracy, which was one hell of a problem, the fact that the party didn't pick his candidate from the South, everybody wanted the South, and it was only the PDP that decided to go up north. And so by the time the party went up north, that was what necessitated into the G5. And since the G5, the PDP has not found its footing from then on. And so you look at it holistically, it's they have to be opposition. If you don't have a viral opposition, no country will be the same. So the PDP, if he doesn't want the Labour Party, which of course also has its own internal problems, so to say, if he doesn't want the Labour Party or the obedience to become the alternative, the PDP will have to put his acts together. They must have to do reconciliation. They must have to ask some fundamental questions, and they must also have to, ask for forgiveness for those they have wronged.
Ken, in order for them to ask these questions and find, sorry to interject, in order for them to ask these questions and find the solutions, they have to identify what the issues are. In your view, what could be the exact issues or likely issues that has led to this decision and continues to impact the party's dynamics?
Yeah, I said that earlier. I said when they refused to zone the presidency to the south after the presidency of Buhari, the fact that Buhari had just finished his presidential term in office, Nigeria is one. Buhari was not president of APC, he was president of Nigeria. And so it had gone to the north for 8 years, and people were clamoring for it to come to the south. But a lot of the governors who had declared, for example, for the southern part of the country, the Asaba declaration was championed by my former governor, Kowa. But you found him being one who readily gave himself up to become the vice presidential candidate to a northern candidate, which was Atiku. And that was where the beginning of the divide started. People were very dissatisfied. And so if they can trace their steps to those decisions, and I see them making those mistakes again, because even in the last meeting they had, the body language of Atiku did not tell me that he was one who was not ready to run again in 2027.
All right, Ken, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, as always, for speaking with us. We appreciate your input.
It's my pleasure.
We now head to Rivers State, where the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, has approved a minor cabinet reshuffle. This was disclosed in a statement by the secretary to the Rivers State government on Tuesday. Former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Zacchaeus Adango, has been deployed to the Ministry of Special Duties, while former Commissioner for Finance, Isaac Kamalu, I beg your pardon, is now deployed to the Ministry of Employment, Generation and Economic Empowerment. The two have been directed to hand over to their respective permanent secretaries immediately. The redeployment takes immediate effect. Staying with developments in Rivers State, the House of Assembly on Monday passed the Rivers State Local Government Amendment Bill into law by overriding the assent of Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The new law, among others, strips the governor of the power to appoint caretaker committees for local government areas. It also makes it mandatory for the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission to conduct elections before the expiration of the tenure of local government chairman. The new law also provides that if local government elections cannot hold for any reason, the tenure of the sitting chairman would be extended by not longer than 6 months. This is the 6th time the House will be overriding the governor to enact laws. Let's discuss this with the help of a former legal advisor, All Progressive Congress Rivers State, Eli Shogboye. Thank you very much for joining us. What were the primary motivations behind the State Assembly's decision to pass the bill into law, despite Governor Siminalayi Fubara's assent?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me. First thing first, the motivation is anti-Rivers people. Recall that time and again is now a matter of public knowledge that the immediate past governor of our states and now Minister for FCT, Yahaya, had claimed publicly time and again that he bought the nomination funds for all of the House of Assembly candidates in Rivers State for 2023 elections. That is enough red flag if you want to know what's going on in our state right now. Until now, nobody has been honest enough to come to the public to tell us what particular offenses were committed by Governor Siminalayi Fubara to attempt to impeach him late in October 2023. That plot failed, and because that plot failed, those who are behind that plot to dethrone the governor have turned our state into a battlefield. And the assembly, that you call us assembly, is presently constituted with all of its illegality in terms of what the constitution had made clear, and what Speaker has spoken about in the Article 109, sub-1 paragraph G, in the case of Federal Begudi against on those of assembly. And what this group of people have done is to make the arrowhead attack on the governor to destabilize states. That's what's going on. And our former legal advisor of the APC, I want to correct that. I was pioneer state youth leader, and then I became a campaign spokesman for the APC in 2023. I wasn't legal advisor, even though I'm a lawyer.
All right, we thank you for that correction and apologies for the... All right, How significant is the provision in the amended law that strips the governor of the power to appoint caretaker committees for local government areas, and what implications might this have for local governance and local politics?
Let's not try to legalize an illegality. Even though the matters are sub judice, and I'm minded not to speak extensively on them, the question to ask is this: where else do we change the rules of the game in the middle of a game? Where on earth is it done? This House Assembly is about doing what is never acceptable in law. It's infringing on the Constitution. Terms, tenures of officials are elected are defined by the enabling called establishment law, if you like. The Constitution, for instance, defines that the President has a term of 4 years, renewable by another 4 years. So for governors, for House of Assembly members, House of Representatives, senators, they have 4 years too, but even though they have no term limits. That's clear. But asking for a House of Assembly that's sitting already legally to extend the term of local government chairmen who were elected by Rivers State Local Government Law number 5 of 2018 in 2021 for a 3-year term that began on June 17, 2021, and will end on June 17, 2024, to have another extension because elections are not hold is an invasion of anarchy.
All right,
because that same law that they try to amend now provides for the governor to appoint the caretaker committee at the end of the 3-year term where elections cannot hold for a 3-month period, which is 90 days, within which time the State Electoral Commission can conduct elections. I have been a staff of that commission between 2004, March, and October 2010, when I resigned to run for the House of Assembly. I conducted 2 local government elections, even though the law is no more the law in question now. But you can't change the rules of the game when the game is already on.
All right, Eli, we'll have
this amendment is done in bad faith.
We'll have to leave
it's done in bad
here.
faith. Don't forget, I also need to mention this. The matter is sub judice. It's before Justice IPC go of the High Court of Rivers State.
All right, Eli, we will have to leave it here for now. The situation is definitely complicated in Rivers. Thank you very much again. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we have more stories. Just stay with us. We head now to South Africa, where President and leader of the ruling African National Congress, Cyril Ramaphosa, has taken his campaign to Eastern KwaZulu-Natal province, a key battleground in the May 29 election. KwaZulu-Natal went to the ANC at the last election in 2019, but nationwide, this election is set to be the closest run in decades. The party, backed by ex-President Jacob Zuma, MK, could provide competition, not least because KwaZulu-Natal is Zuma's home province.
I've been very encouraged by the response of our people here, and I get a good sense that in this area, in this precinct of KZN, the ANC is going to receive an overwhelming majority and is going to be brought back as the governing party in the province. And also,
let's join our business desk for today's business stories.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
On Business Tonight, the Central Bank of Nigeria has announced its second intervention this month, allowing licensed bureau de change operators nationwide to purchase $10,000 each. In a circular addressed to the president of the Association of Bureau de Change Operators in Nigeria, the CBN provided details of the intervention, stating that BDCs can purchase dollars at a rate of 1,021 naira per dollar. They are authorized to sell these forex to eligible end users with a maximum spread of 1.5% above the purchase price, translating to a maximum selling price of 1,036 naira 15 kobo to a dollar. BDCs are required to make immediate payments of the Naira equivalent for their allocated $10,000 and submit necessary documentation to facilitate Forex disbursement at CBN branches. The intervention aims to improve access to Forex for legitimate transactions, potentially reducing pressure on the parallel markets. Away from that, the World Bank has ceased funding for a tourism project in Tanzania following allegations of severe harm inflicted on tens of thousands of villagers, as reported by a US-based rights group advocating for action against the project. The decision to suspend the $150 million project, which aims to enhance natural resource management and tourism assets in a remote region of southern Tanzania, was described as long overdue by the Oakland Institute. The suspension took effect on April 18, with at least $100 million already disbursed since the project commenced in 2017. The Oakland Institute has been a vocal critic of the project, known as Regrow, citing documented rights abuses suffered by indigenous communities in the area. The World Bank confirmed the suspension of further disbursements to Regrow until it is confident that the project is upholding environmental and social standards. Finally, ZESCO, Zambia's state-owned electricity utility, has announced its intention to import power in order to address an energy deficit that could impact the country's copper production. Zambia heavily relies on hydropower, with 86% of its electricity generated from hydropower stations. However, severe drought caused by El Nino has significantly affected power generation. ZESCO estimates a deficit of 700 megawatts this year. To mitigate the impact, the utility is in negotiations to import additional electricity, which will be strategically allocated to critical sectors such as mining, agriculture, and manufacturing to support economic stability and growth. The exact amount of power being sought for import was not disclosed. Meanwhile, last week, ZESCO warned mining companies about potential fluctuations in power supply, raising concerns about copper outputs. And that's all on business news. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo. Do stay with us. There's more to come.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Up next is sports news.
Sports update brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
In sport, following his second round exit at the 2024 MultiTier World Cup in Macau, Omar Assad has risen to 14th in the 2024 Week 17 of International Table Tennis Federation rankings, released on Tuesday. A three-time African Games champion was the only African to progress to the second round in the men's singles after beating Iran's Nosham Almiyan and Swedish Truls Muregat to top Group 16 from 16th spot in Week 17. Assad rose to 14th as the best-rated African in the world and considered as his career best ranking. Meanwhile, Nigeria's Aruna Quadri remains in 19th place. He will be heading into next month's African Cup in Kigali, Rwanda, where he aims to defend his title against the finest players in the continent. Away from table tennis, now to athletics, where the Athletics Federation of Nigeria has named a strongman 35 squad ahead of World Relays in Bahamas as they look forward to qualify its team for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. The competition will hold from the 4th to the 5th of May in Bahamas, with the best 14 teams in all the events qualifying for the Olympic Games scheduled for Paris in July and August. AFN officials are said to be in a race against time to secure US visas for the 9 home-based athletes billed for the competition. The athletes converge at the American Embassy in Abuja on Tuesday for their visa interview, and if successful, they are expected to fly out on the 1st of May to the Caribbean island nation. Away from athletics, now to football, where Dreams FC of Ghana have announced that there will not be gate fee for certain sections of the stadium for their highly anticipated encounter against Zamalek in the CAF Convention Cup on Sunday. The Steel Believe boys secured a commendable goalless draw in the first leg held in Cairo and are now aiming to clinch qualification with a stellar performance in the second leg set to take place in Kumasi. Dreams FC have been formidable in Kumasi throughout this season's competition, boasting 3 wins and a draw as they seek to secure the spot in the final for the first time in their history. Following the announcement, the popular and center-line stands of the Babayara Sports Stadium for the upcoming game on Sunday, April 28th, will be open to spectators at no cost. However, tickets for the VIP and VVIP stands will be available for purchase at 20 Ghana cedis and 50 Ghana cedis respectively, ensuring adherence to security and safety protocols. And to wrap up sports update, we go straight to Europe, where UEFA is set to confirm nations will have 26-man squad for this summer's European Championship in Germany. A meeting of the European governing body's National Competitions Committee voted in favor of the change, which is set to be ratified by the Executive Committee later this week. UEFA had planned to revert back to 23-man squad after outlining the 3-man expansion for the Euro 2020 due to the ongoing impact of COVID-19. Expanded squads were also permitted at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar because it was played in the middle of domestic season. Several international coaches were critical of the 23-man squad and the suggestions to stick with 26 players arose at the recent Euro 2024 coaches meeting, where the idea gained widespread support. And that wraps it up on Sports Update and Favor Itwa. Up next is entertainment.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile. Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
In entertainment, Baba Ijesha's appeal against his conviction for child assault has been reserved for judgment by the Lagos Division of the Court of Appeal. The Nollywood actor, whose real name is Olarinwaju James, was convicted by a state high court for the sexual assault of a minor. Baba Ijesha's counsel argued that the prosecution failed to prove that he sexually assaulted the victim, emphasizing that the charge was centered on defilement of a minor, but the prosecution couldn't prove the victim's age. The Director of Public Prosecution, Dr. Babajide Martins, urged the court to dismiss the appeal for lacking in merit and affirmed the judgment of the lower court. The court has reserved its judgment for a later date. And now, moving away from that, Nigerian-American actress Yvonne Orji is set to develop a series based on Ghanaian writer Yahaya Jassey's novel Transcendent Kingdom for Sony Pictures Television. This comes after Yvonne Orji signed a 2-year first-look agreement with Sony, where she will develop scripted shows for streaming and cable. Known for her role as Molly in the HBO Max series Insecure, Yvonne Orji gained recognition and was nominated for an Emmy in 2020 for Best Supporting Actress. Her recent credits include starring in The Blackening, a horror comedy, and Vacation Friends 2, a 2021 Hulu comedy sequel. Transcendent Kingdom, Jassey's second novel, follows the complex life of Gifty, a neuroscientist studying behavioral patterns in mice related to depression and addiction. With this project, Orji continues to venture into production, having 2 stand-up specials to her credit and serving as an executive producer for the HBO Max reality series by My Mom, Your Dad. And that's all we'll take on entertainment tonight. We'll take a short break, and when we are back, we'll bring you the updates on what's trending tonight.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Now let's move away from entertainment stories. Lead British International School is a highlight of our trending stories today. Lead British International School has been shut down for 3 days following the intervention of the Minister of Women Affairs after a student was bullied by her fellow classmates. The closure comes in response to a viral video showing the bullying incident, which sparked outrage on social media. In response to the incident, the school has initiated an investigation and is providing support and counseling services to the victim and her family. Additionally, another viral video has surfaced with lead British International School students expressing concerns that this incident is not an isolated one and that reports of bullying to school authorities have often been ignored. Before we take some reactions to this story on X, let us watch those trending videos now.
We're watching them and they didn't do anything. We've literally they never take action. Like they always that if people doesn't mean it has been happening every day? Yes. Yes. It happens every.
Let us now take some reactions to this story on X. Sarah Simplicity is saying, bullying is a menace, most especially in the rich schools. Most of these schools don't enforce discipline. Most times, students get away with whatsoever atrocities they commit. Schools are only concerned about making profits and nothing more. Another tweet from Clash is saying, wealthy parents have trained their children into believing that whatever they want, they can achieve, and that the world revolves around them, such that they can eat their cake and have it. The society really needs to see how this issue of bullying, most especially by spoilt brats, have become a cankerworm that has eaten deep into the flesh of the society and has unarguably become a societal issue. Another tweet from Ahmed Young is saying, what is going on is that most of these kids lack home training. They leave the training, their parents leave the training for the teachers, and yet these teachers are not even allowed to punish their bad behaviors. No balance. We have another tweet from Austin saying, cameras should be put in place, I guess hidden in some places. Security personnel should always be available and should be positioned at various sections in the school. This bullying has killed innocent children in the past and needs to stop. And that's all for tonight on What's Trending, but you can join the conversation and share your thoughts across our social media platforms at News Central TV. I am Jadel Simon.
And that is all tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. EFCC arrests former Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika over failed national carrier. Former Imo State Governor Yahaya quits PDP. Bellows and Raymond stalls following unavailability in court. We also brought you news that South Africa's President Ramaphosa leads ANC campaigns in KwaZulu-Natal ahead of election. To send your eyewitness report to the number on the screen. I'd like to hear from you. We'd also like to interact at News Central TV on socials. We're live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. Good night.